UFO in the form of a bright light is seen descending over the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The video is said to be taken over the weekend. Then suddenly the light shoots up into the sky. There you see it. Another video from a different angle appears to show the light doing the same thing.
As Rapture is arriving soon and so close, some end-time prophecies are being fulfilled worldwide. Among other nations, one is Israel, where some unusual events are happening in this sacred land. So, let's explore these strange signs and how terrifying they are in this eye-opening video. The first sign appears to be the reconstruction of the Third Temple. The Third Temple is a special holy place people want to build in Jerusalem. It's supposed to be even more important than the old temples that were destroyed. Even though it hasn't been built yet, it's very important in Judaism, especially for Orthodox Jews. They believe it's the most sacred place for them to worship. The Hebrew Bible says that the prophets wanted this new temple to be built when the Messiah came. Some Christians also think it's important for the end of the world. But there's a problem. The place where they want to build the Third Temple is also where Muslims have a special building called the Dome of the Rock. So there's a big argument about it. The Temple Mount has caused many problems between Israelis and Palestinians. They argue about who should control it. Even though many countries don't agree with Israel about Jerusalem being their capital, they're still trying to build the Third Temple. But it's not easy because of all the arguments. Jewish people can't worship there freely, and some Muslim people, especially women in black clothes, stay there to keep Jewish tourists away. Muslim leaders say there was never a temple there, which makes the situation even more complicated. Moreover, the more terrifying thing is that a special ceremony for the Third Temple happened on October 12th. In this ceremony, they reenacted an ancient tradition with water. Many people joined in, including priests called Kohanim, who wore special clothes, and Levites, who played musical instruments. They all started at Shahar Hashpot in the old city of Jerusalem. Together they walked along old paths to get to Shiloh, which is also known as Siloam Springs. This place was used during the time of the temple. As they walked, they chanted, danced, and played silver trumpets at different stops. Important rabbis were there too. At Shiloh, they used a golden jug to collect water, and then they went back to the top of the mountain. They set up a model altar and special tools, and decorated them with big leafy branches like they used to do in the ancient temple. The ceremony ended with a special blessing from the priests and the Hakhel ceremony, which happens every 7 years. Even though the Torah, which is a holy book, doesn't say they have to do this water ceremony, it's part of a tradition that comes from what Moses taught orally. People see it as a happy holiday. In the temple, this ceremony would last for 15 hours, and they would keep celebrating all night until the next morning when the temple service started again. People from different countries participated in the Sukkot celebrations, making it an international day of worship. They did this water ceremony for the last 6 days of the Sukkot holiday and poured wine during the morning service. The Kohanim filled a flask with spring water and went from the temple to the Shiloh spring at the bottom of Mount Moriah. Then, 2 Kohanim went up to the stone altar in the temple's inner courtyard and poured wine and water into special holes made just for this ceremony. Besides the reconstruction of the Third Temple, some recent evidence of an ancient temple was found. New research has found evidence supporting the idea of an old temple being where the Temple Mount is now. This site is very important to Jewish and Muslim people. Some researchers discovered a special place used by Jewish people for religious cleaning under the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Muslims believe that this mosque was built by Abraham a long time ago. This finding is important because it goes against the idea that there was never a Jewish temple there. In the past, a British archaeologist named Robert Hamilton looked at the mosque's foundations after it fell down in 1927 because of an earthquake. He found something interesting. He found a Jewish pool called a mikveh under the mosque's floor. Jewish people used this pool when the Second Temple existed for special cleansing before they went to the Temple Mount. These new discoveries, which were hidden in old British records, show that there was an old temple at the Temple Mount, a holy place for Jewish people. Now comes the scary trumpet sounds in the sky in Israel. In the middle part of Israel, some strange and powerful sounds echoed, confusing many people. Even the army and police couldn't figure out why it was happening. People started talking about it on social media. They said they felt really loud booms and strong vibrations in places like Gush Dan, Tel Aviv, and Petah Tikva. The sounds even reached a place called Julis, which is 50 kilometers away from where it started. The Israel police and the army were puzzled and couldn't give a clear answer about what was causing these explosions. This strange sound phenomenon isn't just happening in Israel. Similar weird sounds, often called sky trumpets or skyquakes, have recently been reported in different parts of the world. People from countries like the United States, Canada, Costa Rica, Russia, the Czech Republic, and Australia have talked about hearing low-frequency hums and noises like trumpets or horns coming from the sky or deep underground. What's really strange about these sounds is that they're new and unusual. Most people have never heard anything like them, making them even more mysterious. They have a spooky quality, like groaning noises and metallic vibrations that sound like musical instruments. Some people even say they hear unclear voices mixed in with these strange sounds. So, could these sounds mean something important? Are they a sign of the end of the world or something like that? Some people think about biblical stories that talk about trumpets, and based on those stories, it is predicted that these sounds define the end of the world as near. Also, in a book called Revelation, there are stories about 7 trumpets. Each of these trumpets is blown by an angel, and they signal really big and scary events that were shown to a person named John of Patmos in his dreams. In these stories, the trumpets come after the opening of a special seal, and it's a big deal because this seal holds important information from a powerful figure. These trumpets were called salpinx in Greek, and they look different from the trumpets we have today. They were made of bronze and had a narrow, straight shape, with mouthpieces made of bone and bells. They were not like modern trumpets. The last 3 trumpets are called the woe trumpets, and they're really important because they announce some very distressing things that happen in the stories. These trumpet sounds have a deep meaning in the stories, and they make the events in the book of Revelation even more significant. Presence of red heifer in Israel. A long time ago, God told Moses and Aaron to get a special red cow in the book of Numbers. This cow had to be perfect, with no blemishes, never pregnant, and never used for work. They would use this cow for a special ceremony to make people clean again if they touched a dead body. Here's how it worked. They would burn the cow and mix its ashes with water. If someone became unclean by touching a dead body, they would sprinkle this special water with ashes on them twice, once 3 days after touching the body and again 7 days later. The Torah also tells us that a long time ago, they brought a red heifer to a priest named Eleazar, Aaron's son, and used it to make the ashes for this ceremony. They used those ashes until the first temple period ended. During the second temple time, they burned 5 to 7 more red heifers for their ashes. Maimonides, a famous Jewish scholar, said the next red heifer would come with the Messiah. Recently, 5 red heifers arrived in Israel from Texas. These heifers are less than a year old, and if they stay completely red without any blemishes, they can be used to make the special ashes needed by Jewish law to purify people who touched dead bodies. This purification is important so that priests, Kohanim, can do their work in a future temple. The heifers are now in quarantine in Haifa, Israel, for at least 7 days, following the rules of the Israel Veterinary Authority. After that, they'll be sent to 2 different places in Israel, and one will eventually be open to the public. These heifers will be taken care of until they are 3 years old, and then they can be turned into ashes. The Boneh Israel organization, which includes Jews and Christians, helped find and bring these heifers to Israel, and when they arrived in Israel, people got terrified as yet another end-time prophecy was fulfilled. Chinese President Xi Jinping has recently made several unprecedented statements that have garnered global attention. These statements not only reflect a shift in China's foreign policy, but also contain metaphors and warnings that have left many pondering their implications. Xi Jinping's rhetoric has raised eyebrows due to its unusual and extreme nature. He has employed metaphors and language typically associated with significant events, such as wars and biblical prophecies. For instance, he mentioned a scenario akin to Revelation 16:12-13, which describes the drying up of the great river Euphrates and the emergence of impure spirits resembling frogs. These biblical references evoke thoughts of apocalyptic battles and have led many to question the true intentions behind his words. China's changing foreign policy and military posture. To understand the context of Xi Jinping's statements, it is crucial to examine China's evolving foreign policy and military posture. Historically, the Communist Party of China has prioritized economic development and diplomacy over military confrontation. However, recent developments suggest a departure from this approach. This year, China has demonstrated a more assertive stance on the global stage. It threatened Australia with a missile strike and issued warnings regarding Taiwan. Notably, China even threatened to shoot down an aircraft carrying Nancy Pelosi, a prominent U.S. representative, should she visit Taiwan. Such actions signal a significant shift in China's willingness to engage in confrontations. China's national security concerns. In response to these developments, President Xi Jinping has directed his top national security officials to prepare for stormy seas. This phrase captures the gravity of the challenges China perceives on the horizon. Xi emphasized that the complexity and intensity of the national security concerns have significantly increased. Xi's call for worst-case scenario planning suggests that China is more proactive in addressing potential threats. While it is essential to avoid overinterpretation of his statements, they underscore a growing sense of urgency within China's leadership regarding national security. Xi Jinping's new directives amidst complex challenges. Recent reports highlight the issuance of stringent directives by Chinese President Xi Jinping, coinciding with Beijing's grappling with a host of pressing issues. These directives come against the backdrop of a turbulent economic landscape and deteriorating diplomatic relations. In response to this complex and critical situation, Xi has articulated a call to action. China must accelerate the upgrading of its national security system and capabilities, stressed Xi Jinping, emphasizing the need for effectiveness in real-world combat situations. He has also urged for the swift development of a comprehensive national security risk surveillance and early warning system, an enhancement of national security education, and a bolstering of data and artificial intelligence security management. Over the past decade, Xi Jinping has established national security as a central tenet of Chinese politics. This expanded definition of national safety encompasses a wide spectrum, ranging from governance and economics to defense, culture, the environment, and even cyberspace. It encompasses everything from the depths of the seas to cutting-edge data and artificial intelligence technologies. Under this holistic approach to national security, China has implemented several laws and regulations to safeguard itself against perceived threats. These include counterterrorism, counterespionage, cybersecurity, oversight of foreign non-governmental organizations, intelligence agencies, and data security. China's growing military and the allusions to Revelation 16. Xi Jinping's directives for bolstering national security have far-reaching implications, extending even to China's formidable military capabilities. Notably, China possesses the world's largest army, a fact that has drawn parallels with biblical prophecies, particularly the reference to Revelation 16 inches as mentioned. The passage from Revelation 16 portrays a climactic battle that heralds the end of the world, and some interpreters have drawn connections to China's military might. John's vision in this biblical text has led to speculations that one of the armies described therein might be reminiscent of China's modern-day armed forces. The size and potency of China's military have prompted individuals who study such biblical prophecies to express concerns regarding the role of China in potential future conflicts. The prophetic insights of Revelation. The writings of the Apostle John in the book of Revelation provide us with intriguing and prophetic insights into future conflicts. John, in his time, could hardly imagine an army of 200 million soldiers, given that the global population in the 1st century AD was estimated to be between 170 million and 400 million. In Revelation, John provided specific details about this colossal army, describing its origins and affiliations. According to John's revelation, this massive army, numbering 200 million, is set to emerge from the east, associated with the imagery of a dragon. In Revelation 9:13, 16, he wrote, "The sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, and the number of the army of horsemen was 200,000. This prophetic vision leaves us contemplating the significance of such an immense force. A historic battlefield of Armageddon. The term Armageddon has historical significance as the location of numerous major conflicts throughout history, including events dating back to ancient times and the First World War. According to biblical accounts, Armageddon will once again is the stage for a significant battle, a climactic showdown involving troops from Eastern and Western Eurasia vying for world dominance. In this biblical narrative, the kings of the East, whose modern interpretations align with Russia and China, will launch a counterattack towards Europe with an army of 200 million men. This momentous event is prophesied to destroy 1/3 of humanity and is foretold in Bible prophecy. This apocalyptic event is expected to unfold on the Eurasian continent, signaling a critical turning point shortly before the return of Jesus Christ. Another prophetic dimension revealed in biblical texts, such as Daniel 11:40-43, portrays the formation of a 10-nation power alliance in Central Europe, a development anticipated just before the culmination of world events. This scriptural account describes that, at the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots, horsemen, and many ships. The king of the north's actions, which include entering countries and overwhelming them, align with modern geopolitics. The European community, as it expands and encounters threats from the south, is envisioned as the king of the north. The current geopolitical landscape mirrors elements of this prophecy, with tensions brewing in the Middle East and Europe facing challenges from Islamic nations. Recent history has seen missile launches, attacks, and military operations in this volatile region. Notably, many of the world's leading purchasers of chemical warfare weapons are situated on Europe's southern periphery, with China playing a significant role. The reassuring aspect for believers is that amid this supernatural battle, Jesus Christ is prophesied to overcome all these forces. The scriptures offer a message of hope amidst the tumultuous events foretold in these prophecies. Revelation 19. In Revelation chapter 19, verses 19-21, we encounter a profound prophetic vision that paints a vivid picture of future events. The text describes a gathering of powerful forces symbolized as the beast, the kings of the earth, and their armies. Their collective purpose is to engage in a war against a divine figure seated upon a horse, accompanied by an army. I saw the beast, the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him who sat on the horse and against his army, reveals the scripture. This dramatic confrontation sets the stage for a climactic showdown of cosmic proportions. The narrative takes a significant turn within this prophetic tableau as it foretells the capture and ultimate destiny of the beast and the false prophet. These entities, who wielded deceptive powers and led many astray, face a profound reckoning. The beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image, declares the text. Their fate is depicted as being cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. This striking imagery symbolizes a divine judgment of immense magnitude. Delving deeper into the prophetic insights, we find resonance with predictions in Ezekiel 38 and 39. These passages suggest a future scenario where, even after establishing the kingdom of God on earth, certain nations, including Russia and Eastern nations like China, will launch an audacious attack on Israel. However, the scriptures hold a promise of divine intervention and ultimate triumph. The great God will vanquish them, as stated in the prophetic narrative. Isaiah 59:8 emphasizes that these nations, marked by their pursuit of conflict and crooked paths, will ultimately recognize the true God in heaven. They will learn that authentic peace and strength do not emanate from the might of weapons, but from choosing to align with divine precepts. So what do you think of the strange rapture signs that happened in Israel? Are you too terrified? Comment below and subscribe for more.